Time now to check in on our weekly series, Canadian Dream. It looks at the successes and the challenges new Canadians face as they try to make this country home. This week, we want to look at a disturbing trend that is hitting the Somali-Canadian community, and it is tormenting many families.
This is my brother, Abdulkadir Mahmoud.
This is my son.
This is my brother.
This is my son.
My brother was not a criminal. My brother was a guy who's trying to start his life.
These Somali-Canadian families came to Canada to escape the turbulence of their Somalia, only to face something no dream could ever include. They lost their son or brother to violence on Canada's streets. Their journey to Alberta started the same way it did for many dreamers. The province's oil boom, a magnet, thousands move west hoping to earn a better living. Among them, Somali-Canadians from Ontario. Now, many have found good jobs, but some are caught in the drug trade. And this is where opportunity turns into trouble.
And I want to know who did this to him, because he did not deserve that.
At least 30 Somali-Canadians have met a violent end. They've been murdered in Alberta in the past 5 years. The latest victim, Abdi Nasser Ali, was gunned down in Edmonton just last week. And like the others, he was young, only 19, and had moved from the Toronto area. For the 20,000 Somali Canadians living in Edmonton, the violence reminds them of the homeland they left behind.
When we come here, the same thing like Mogadishu. So I would say, I don't know. We are very sorry what's happening here.
Police and the Somali community are working together, but the statistics show that a lot of work still has to be done to stop the blatant violence. And joining me now is Ahmed Hussen. He's the president of the Canadian Somali Congress. So, Ahmed, thank you for making time for us this morning. You know, watching that tape, It's clearly emotional for the Somali-Canadian community, but shocking for all Canadians to watch. What did you think, being in the community, hearing that another young Somali-Canadian had died? Now, the number is 30.
Yes, the community is very saddened by yet another fatality. It's painful.
Now, you spent more than 2 months in Alberta trying to get to the bottom of what is happening there, talking to people. What did you learn on that trip?
I learned that there's a lot of young people who obviously are in a high-risk lifestyle in Alberta, and that leads to fatalities and other situations. However, I also learned quite clearly that a substantial number of the individuals on the list that you just showed are innocent people who had nothing to do with any criminal activity whatsoever, some of whom I knew personally, and they include folks like Abbas Abukar, who went to Alberta to earn some extra money to pay for tuition so that he could finish his education in Ontario. You also have a mother, Faduma Arab, who lost her son because he had a similar last name to someone who was being targeted. So it's a very mixed bag, and it's very sad for this community.
Let's talk about the folks that you say are falling into a high-risk lifestyle and why you think that is happening. Because we should point out many of the folks who have lost their lives or who are going to Alberta maybe weren't born here, but came here at a very young age, so had a long time to sort of adapt to the culture here, and some were born here. So why do you think this is happening, that they're taking that path down the high-risk lifestyle?
I think some of it obviously is the lure of money and like a glamorous lifestyle that is associated with being in a gang or making a lot of money from selling drugs. However, I mean, that's common to other communities as well. I think what is peculiar to the Canadian Somali community is that this is a community that has had a really big divide between the older people who sort of are still fixated with their homeland, and the young people. The majority now of this community are young, and they know Canada. They don't know Somalia. And I think there is a disconnect between the two generations as well. The other thing I found out in Alberta is that the mainstream is still having a conversation with the young people as if they're still immigrants. And these are folks who have been born in Canada. Virtually all of the people on that list have been born in Canada. So the mainstream is saying to these people, well, we have a problem here. All we need to do is just throw more immigrant settlement money at them instead of looking at this as an integration issue.
So they're feeling disconnected, disenfranchised, not only from their parents, but also from the community that
From the
they now
mainstream,
call
yes.
home, from the mainstream. So if settlement money isn't helping, it's not the answer. What do you think needs to happen? And
Settlement
what are you
money
trying to do?
is addressing the wrong problem. The problem isn't immigrant settlement. These are not immigrants. Even their parents are not immigrants. Their parents are now Canadian citizens. They've been born in, they've lived in Canada for 2 decades or more. The kids are born here. What needs to happen is things like mentorship programs that allow these people to access jobs and professions. I should point out the vast majority of young Canadian Somalis are law-abiding. They're succeeding beyond any expectations. They're graduating with honors and professional degrees. So one of the things we've done as a Canadian Somali community is partner with the Canadian Jewish community to put together a Canadian Somali Jewish mentorship project that is on track to place hundreds of young Canadian Somalis all over Canada in mentorship positions so that they don't get off the road of success and become productive Canadian citizens.
So that is part of the solution going forward that
Yes.
your community is trying to do. I know you want help from the Alberta government and police as well. What do you think they need to do to go along with what the community is doing?
Well, we've done the heavy lifting. Like I said, we have a mentorship project. The Alberta Canadian Somali community has done amazing work with Crime Stoppers. The record of cooperation with the police has improved dramatically. So the Canadian Somali community has done all it can, and they deserve credit for that. But I think the Alberta government has to meet them halfway, instead of viewing them as immigrants who need settlement money and language programs. That's the wrong approach. What they need is the Alberta government needs to meet them halfway and treat them as Canadians and start to integrate them into Alberta society. And I think that would deal with this problem.
Integration and acceptance.
Yes.
Ahmed, we have to leave it there, unfortunately. Thank you so much for your time. And we want to check in with you as that mentorship program continues. And hopefully
it's
there'll be some
actually
success
expanding to
stories.
Ottawa next week.
Well,
So
we'll definitely stay in touch with you to
Thank you
connect
very
with
much.
that. Thanks once again.